He sold over 500 million books. 500 million. 59 times on the New York Times bestseller list. 318 books. That's a lot of books. He's a marketing genius. I want to introduce, he's spoken to over 7 million people in 80 countries. He loves to share his stories, inspire others, and he's a good friend, and right now he's just releasing his new book with his beautiful wife called Ask, The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. Let me introduce Mark Victor Hansen.
Now here's the 6 most important words to start every business deal, to start loans, to start borrowing, to get funding. The 6 most important words are, let me tell you a story. Everyone say that, please. Why? We grew up at campfires in this story. Last time my wife and I happened to luck out and watch a movie called 10,000 BC, and that's the whole level of articulation started. I opened all the pyramids in Guatemala with the head of Harvard, Dr. Bill Saturno, who'd been flying at 100,000 feet in a stealth and turned the ocular and said, holy crap. There was a Mesoamerica. There were 10 million people. They did have a city every 30 miles, and I opened up San Bartolo, and in 2 weeks' time we helicoptered and opened up all this stuff. But you couldn't see it because it's got thousands and thousands of years of dirt. It's just a story, but that's what they did, is they told a story and pulled off stuff. My story. I'm 26 years old. I've been with Bucky Fuller. I'm trying to be Bucky Fuller. Bad idea. The world needs one Bucky Fuller, not 2. And I can't be somebody else. I can only be a really good Mark Victor Hansen. You can only be a really good you. But I built a $2 million worth. I'm building the Wall Street Racket Club, botanical gardens, aviaries, houses. I'm smoking. And then another company I don't like very much that makes a product I really hate that they got sued for $10 billion and lost, Monsanto, is making my product that I do. My basic product is PVC, polyvinyl chloride, and I'm making these structures out of PVC. And I'm doing $40,000 worth of buying from them a month, and I think I'm a hotshot kid, and I thought I was, but they stopped. They said, we have an oil embargo, 1973 and 4, you don't get any. I went bankrupt so fast. I checked a book at the library, the biggest library in the world, New York Public Library, is a multi-million-dollar library, how to go bankrupt by yourself. I wanted to kill myself. For 6 months, I'm slipping in front of another guy's bedroom in a damn sleeping bag in Hicksville, Long Island, New York, and saying, oh my God, my self-worth and net worth are the same. I thought, what am I going to do? I finally said, okay, God, what is it you want me to do? God doesn't answer that way. He says, what do you want to do? I said, I want to talk to people that care about things that matter, that make a life transformative difference for them. Go down to breakfast with my 3 movie mates in Hicksville, and I say, hey guys, you know anyone that's not a Broadway star, not a celebrity, not a cotton top, white-haired guy like me, a doctor, a lawyer, but somebody I could relate to? Said, this kid's probably 10 years older than you. Here's my ticket. He's teaching us how to get out of the doldrums of real estate. In New York at the time, interest rate was 28%. I know it's hard to believe that because we're at 5 and 6 and 7, depends. Whew. He goes out, and I watch this guy take my little $400 pitted window, permanently air-conditioned Volkswagen out there. He's got 500 people, and he's wowing them. He's hitting them at a soul level and making them laugh and enjoy and have fun and transform and start to do business again. One guy, Chip Collins. I go up to him at the end and I ask, I say, can I take you to lunch? He said, what do you want? I said, I want to do what you do. He said, no, you don't. He said, 1 in 1,000 you're going to make it. You ain't going to make it. I said, don't do this. Do something real. I said, just tell me how to do it. He said, if you'll stay out of real estate, because I own the 5 boroughs in New York. And he trained Barbara Cochran, and you see her on Shark Tank all the time. But he trained a lot of us that did really well. He just passed away. Whew. He got me. Now, New York's a city that eats its young, as you know. That's the joke. Frank sings, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. And I thought, well, okay, I got to make it. So the first 3 years, I did 1,000 talks a year. Now, only Tony Robbins and I did 1,000 talks. We were one together one time. Now, what did I do to get there? Number one, I had white-hot burning desire. That's what you're going to have to go through the morass we're about to go into that George spoke to. Number two, you've got to have the ability to ask, and we got a few of the books out there. You can go buy it elsewhere. 3, you've got to take self-initiative to action. Nobody's going to do it for you, and everybody's going to tell you can't do it, and that probably includes some of your family members and your relatives and all that. But once you succeed, you amaze yourself at how many family members you never knew you had show up. So my first talks were stumblingly inept. totally incompetent, but people still got it because I took the action to suffer through the pain and the anguish and that. And then they said, do you have that book, a story in a book? And the first book I did, self-published, Stand Up, Speak Out and Win, sold 20,000 copies from the platform at $10 each. That's 200,000. In today's dollars, that's equivalently $2 million. So I was smoking. And I was a little group, 6, 7, 8, 10 people in a little life insurance office. And I love life insurance, but it's a great product. But the point is that we sold a lot of them, and I said, it's not a bestseller. It's not a New York Times bestseller. It's not a national bestseller, but it's my bestseller. And I'd like to sign it to you, your wife, your kids. And if you get a dog, I'll send it to your dog. But, you know, I bought a brand new Chrysler Cordoba car because it was just cool with white and Corinthian leather. It was way cool. So here's what you got to know. As we go into the yogurt here, what do customers pay for? Number one, if you can get customers for them, or those of you that are medical doctors or doctors of any kind in here, patients, right? For you big, sophisticated people, clients, whatever, increase the amount they purchase or value, upsell, downsell, side sell, whatever you got to do. And the guy on TV, I always see Mike Lindell. Man, that guy smokes when he sells stuff. If you ever get to see him live, you want to do that. Get them to buy more times, because a customer isn't real until they buy again and again and again. And I've been very blessed to have that. So the companies in the Hansen family of companies are purpose-driven businesses, and we have 3 goals. George alluded to the middle one. You've got to be original. You've got to be unique. Every one of my books is unique. Ask is different because the first story in Ask is the parable of Michaela. It'll change your life. We had 100, 200 letters a day with people saying, I never read a book like this before. I woke up my wife in the middle of the night and I said, you got to read this. And then I woke up my teenage kids. Well, Hollywood's awake, except Hollywood, the top guy in Hollywood's moved to Nashville, so he's making it into a movie and has my wife expand it. So if you're original, you can do it. Transformative. One of my beliefs in our money book has a butterfly, because we're saying, hey, look, you can't look at caterpillar and predict butterfly. I know we've all been in this stupid cocoon, and it's time to break out. Take your hands without hitting your neighbor and say, I'm breaking out. Because it's time to do that. And then it's got to be inevitable that what you do is going to make you grateful and appreciative at levels you never even thought. Now here's Jack and I, when we were starting, we said, look, we want to change the whole world, and we want to change it one story at a time, real close. And in 1999, we'd been turned down by 144 people, but I said, look, these are heart-touching, soul-penetrating stories that got a standing ovation every time we used them. So if everybody turned us down, somebody's got to take us. We go to the little book fair ourselves after our agent fired us, which has cost him at least 15 or 20 million bucks. We go there, we got backpacks loaded with 3-ring binders, and we arrive, and an old guy with a white beard walks up to me, weighs 350 pounds, and kisses my cheeks. I had no idea who it was. And he said, kid, you're going to change. I saw your book, and I wrote the endorsement to it. I say, who are you? He said, I'm Dr. Bob Fulgham. I said, oh my God, everything I need to learn in kindergarten, I was afraid to ask. Bob, I love your writing. You are a master monster guy. Anyhow, HCI took it, and Gary Seidler, the 2 partners, said, I cried all over my silk shirt. You're really good. We'll take it if you'll buy, let's see, you got to buy 20,000 books at $6 each, so we had a guarantee we'd buy $120,000 worth of books, so that's basically vanity. But look, when you get rejected, there's one clean 4-letter word, and all of us have been rejected by someone, somewhere, somehow, sometime, some reason. There's one word that'll get you through it. When it hits a screen, I want you to shout it as loud as you can. How many of you have been rejected? Could I see you raise your hands? Good. Now you know how to be rejection proof, right? Well, look, we sold $2 billion at retail, 500 million books, 254 different chicken titles, 54 languages, over $1 billion I made in licenses, because I was reading one weekend George Lucas and Spielberg's book. They made $800 million in ET, but made $1.5 billion in licenses. I went into Jack and I said, we're going to start a licensing. He said, what do you know? Nothing. That's where you are, some of you. You don't know nothing, expect nothing. It doesn't matter. There's a circle around whatever it is that you want to do. You're on the outside. All you got to do is decide, like you heard George articulate, study, read, attend. I went to all the licensing meeting. I met all the best people. Just like the reason I sell more books than anybody has ever sold is I interviewed the 101 best-selling authors of fiction and nonfiction. I wrote down what they said. I created this wow of a business plan, which is why everybody turned us down, because the first thing I wrote was I'm going to sell 1 billion books, and they all went... They all knew you couldn't do that. No, I knew they couldn't do it. Will I do it? The answer is yeah, of course, because you can do anything you want to do. And then I wrote down 20 years ago we were going to do a movie, and we just finished it with Michael Caine, and you'll get to see it. It's a great movie called Bestseller. It's wonderful. But what do you got to do? There's a 90-10 law here. You got to invest your time in marketing and selling and hustling and self-promotion and going the extra mile and advertising and marketing, because there's going to be more business than ever, because they're going to try to put a lot of little businesses out. And if there's a recession, you got to say, I'm not participating. Everyone? I'm not participating. Louder? I'm not participating. Give your neighbor a high 10. Say, you ain't participating in this one. Now, the book I wrote, 1 Minute Millionaire, with Bob Allen, he was so good. He'd just written a book called Challenge. He'd written Nothing Down, 50 Ways to Buy Real Estate for Nothing Down. Bob and I have been friends a long time. And when I made all this money, I never got invited to a Hollywood party, so I had a Hollywood party. We had 500 people come. We had the Shirelles come and sing, and they brought as a birthday gift to me the Temptations. I thought, wait, this is way cool, man. So if I don't get invited to a party, I'll hold the party. Anyhow, so I thought that was really cool. And Bob comes up to me and said, I want you to write the foreword to this. Well, the next day I'm flying up to do a talk in Vancouver, British Columbia, and he's sitting in first class. I said, Bob, what are you doing? He says, you're going to write the book with me. I said, no, I'm busy, man. I'm busy. We got a lot going in chicken land. So we wrote it, and the first line I wrote is, we want to create 1 million millionaires. And we're going to grow exponentially. Now, I haven't talked about that, but to be limitless, you got to be exponential. Now, you all know our whole academic system and the way we've been taught from Fighting Alliance is to be linear. If I take 30 steps, that's linear. Exponential is doubling. So 1 goes to 2, but 2 goes to 4, 4 to 8, 8, 16, 32, 64. You know the rest. But if you start with one little dollar, sound like Jim Rohn, is it suddenly it becomes $1 billion in 30 iterations, 30 cycles. A lot of you are going to super cycle. I'm going to tell you about Peter Thiel, who took 10 kids 2 years ago, and 4 of them are already billionaires. So it can happen faster if you're limitless in your thinking, if you're exponential in your thinking. Everyone say, I am thinking exponentially. Now, there's 1 million ways to make $1 million, and there's one right, perfect, easy, acceptable way to you. That's the point.